When was the last time someone evaluated you and you had no idea it was happening? Not a job interview, not a formal review, not a moment you had time to prepare for. Just a conversation, a dinner, a Q&A after a presentation, a casual exchange before a meeting officially starts. And somewhere in that moment, someone made a decision about you, knowing a decision was even being made. Because I think it reframes a lot of things. And if we haven't met before, my name is Mahaya Boisal. I spend a lot of time thinking about the human side of business, the decisions, the relationships, the trust, and the things that are often being evaluated beneath the surface. I've been in rooms where seasoned companies, not first time founders, not people who just started, seasoned companies with experienced team, real revenue, real track records, stood in front of investors and still made the same mistakes. Still got rattled by a question they weren't expecting. Still stumbled through an answer they should have owned. Still lost the room. Not because the business wasn't real, but because something else broke down. And I've noticed something even more striking. Very few of them didn't choke on a Q&A question from the audience. Very few. That tells me something important. This isn't a beginner problem or something you graduate out of experience. This is actually something most people never actually solved, which means the question worth asking isn't, how do I build a better pitch? I think the question should be, what is actually being evaluated in that room? And why do we even experience people keep getting it wrong? I've come to believe that every serious room operates in two layers. There's the surface layer, and then there's the deeper layer. The surface layer is what everyone prepares for: the pitch, the deck, the numbers, the projection, the positioning. And all of those things matter. They matter a lot, actually. You cannot walk into a serious room unprepared on those things. But the deeper layer isn't really about the business, it's about the person behind it, the judgment, the credibility, their self awareness, their ability to navigate uncertainty, their ability to earn trust, because eventually every opportunity becomes a people question. And that's when the deeper layer begins. Now, here's what I keep observing: experienced people rarely evaluate one thing in isolation. They're not just looking at the opportunity, they're looking at the whole picture: the market, the strategy, the people behind it, the relationships, the reputation. The way someone thinks when a hard question lands, they're connecting all of those dots quietly before they even say yes or no. Let's name this concept the invisible curriculum. Every serious room has one. And unlike the visible things everyone prepares for, the pitch, the deck, the numbers, the invisible curriculum isn't written down anywhere. No one hands you a rubric. Nobody tells you what they're really watching for. But experienced people are reading it in real time. They're watching how you communicate under pressure. They're noticing whether your confidence is grounded or performed. They're paying attention to whether you listen as well as you speak. I still struggle with that one. They're registering how you handle a question you weren't prepared for. They're observing how you treat people in the rooms who have less power than you. That one matters more than most people realize. How someone treats a junior person in a room tell an experienced observer almost everything they need to know about who that person actually is when things get hard. And that's the part that makes it so difficult. The invisible curriculum is always running in every room, in every conversation, in every moment between the formal moment. The question is simply whether you're aware of it, and most people aren't. Even experienced ones, which is exactly why seasoned companies still choke. They prepare the visible evaluation, they show up unprepared for the deeper ones. Let me explain why experienced people evaluate differently. Now, here's what makes experienced investor and executive different. They've developed pattern recognition. They've seen founders at every stage. They've seen great opportunities fail because of the people leading them. They've seen questionable deals succeed because of the judgment and adaptability of the person behind them. They've sat across from people who had everything on paper and delivered nothing, and people who had almost nothing on paper and figured everything out. So over time, they stop asking only, is this a good business? They start asking a different set of questions. Is this someone I can trust? Does this person know what they don't know? Will this person make sound decision when things get complicated? Is this someone I want my name associated with? And they're asking those questions whether you're prepared for them or not. Not just when you're presenting, not just during a formal pitch, but in the hallway before the meeting, in how you handle the questions that catches you off guard, in how you respond when someone in the room pushes back. In the moments between the moments, the evaluation never really stops. It just changes shape. I want to add another layer to this conversation. We're living in a moment where AI is changing almost everything about how businesses operate. The speed of execution, the cost of building, the ability to analyze information, the ability to automate tasks that used to require an entire team. And that's not a future prediction, it's happening now. Businesses can move faster than ever. Founders can access tools that didn't exist a few years ago. Ideas can be tested, built, and launched at a speed we've never seen before. And honestly, I think that's extraordinary. But here's what I keep coming back to. AI can generate information. AI can accelerate execution. AI can increase efficiency. But AI cannot walk into a room and earn trust. It cannot navigate a relationship that becomes complicated. It cannot repair credibility once it's been damaged. It cannot make a judgment call when the data points in two different directions and someone has to decide. It cannot look at another human being in the eye and create confidence that says, yes, this is someone I want to work with. And that's why I believe something interesting is happening. As technology becomes more powerful, the human side of business becomes more valuable, not less, because at the highest level of business, the differentiator has never really been access to information. Most people have access to information now. The differentiator has always been judgment. The ability to make sound decisions with incomplete information, the ability to navigate uncertainty, the ability to earn trust, the ability to bring people with you. And judgment is still deeply human. So while AI continues to transform how we work, it doesn't eliminate the deeper layer. If anything, that makes that layer more visible. Because when everyone has access to similar tools, the things that separate people isn't technology, it's the people using it. Before we go any further, let's zoom out for a second because we've covered a lot. We've talked about the surface layer, the pitch, the deck, the numbers, the things everyone can see and prepare for. We've talked about the deeper layer, where people are quietly evaluating judgment, credibility, trust, and decision making. We've talked about what I call the invisible curriculum, the unwritten standards operating in every serious room. And we've talked about why, in a world increasingly powered by AI, those human factors may actually become more valuable, not less. So the question becomes, if all of this is true, what do we actually do with it? Here's what I've seen actually matters when you're in a room that counts. The first thing, know your numbers completely. Not the vision, not the potential, not the optimistic projection, the actual mechanism of your business right now. How do you make money? What is your burn rate? What is your runway? What does your margin actually look like? What is the biggest bottleneck in this exact moment? If you cannot answer those questions immediately, clearly, and without hesitation, it signals something, and experienced people pay attention to that. Numbers are not just financial information. They are a proxy for how deeply you understand your own business. And when a question lands on your numbers and you fumble, It's rarely because you don't know the number. It's because you haven't made it a part of how you think and speak every day. Second thing, know your business where it's most likely to break. Founders who can clearly name their biggest vulnerability, their most exposed assumption, the thing that would hurt them most if it went wrong, without flinching, without hedging, without spinning. Those are usually the founders who earn the most credibility in the serious rooms because it signals something rare: self awareness. It tells an experienced person, this person really sees problems coming. And when they don't, they'll face them honestly. That's who earns credibility. The third thing, know what you don't know and be willing to say it out loud. This goes against almost every instinct you've developed as a founder or operator because you're conditioned to project certainty, to always have an answer, to never show a gap. But experienced people have been in enough rooms to know that anyone with a polished answer to every question either hasn't thought deeply enough or isn't being fully honest. The person who says, I don't have an answer yet, but here's specifically how I'm working through it, is almost always more credible than the one who never pauses. Because the answer signals you know your edge, you're intellectually honest, you won't hide a problem until it becomes a crisis. Those three things together, your numbers, your risk, your honest unknowns, from the foundation of what experienced people are actually trying to assess in that room, not your deck, your judgment. And I want to be honest with you here because I know how this can feel. You might think, so I have to know everything, admit what I don't know, name the biggest risk, and perform well under pressure. I hear you. But here's the reframe: this isn't a checklist of things to perform, it's what genuine preparation actually looks like. The people I've watched earn real trust in serious rooms aren't the most rehearsed people. They're the most present. They've done the deep work privately, so they don't get rattled publicly. They've sat down alone with the hard questions before anyone else got a chance to ask them. And they show up as themselves, not a version of themselves they think the room wants to see. Because here's something worth remembering. Most experienced investors and executives have been on the other side of the table. They've been the founder. They've been the operator. They've had the incomplete answers. They've made the calls that didn't work out. They're not sitting there hoping you fail. They're sitting there hoping you're the real thing. The best thing you can do is make it easy for them to see that you are. So let me leave you with this. The opportunity matters. The numbers matter. The strategy matters. But the person behind it matters too. And the more experienced the room, the more that tends to be true. I've watched seasoned companies that should have known better, lose rooms they should have owned, not because the business wasn't solid, because they were prepared for the visible evaluation and underprepared for the deeper ones. Don't let that be you. Know your business cold, know your risk honestly, know your gaps clearly, and then show up as yourself. Because in a world where AI is accelerating everything, the thing that cannot be automated becomes the most valuable things you have: your judgment, your presence, your ability to earn trust in a room, your reputation, your relationships. Those don't scale with the prompt. The people who build enduring businesses in this area won't just be the ones who use the best tools. They'll be the one who combine those tools with something AI will never replicate: themselves. I call it the human side of strategy. I'll see you on the next one.